that saved a wretch like me. I was lost, but now I'm found. Was blind, but now I see.
Hey, welcome to the Grace One Daily Podcast. Pastor Jeremiah with you today. Just got done wrapping up another podcast, and I brought up this article that I want to share with you today, or this amazing news. Check this out, guys. Today, this is amazing. 250 years later, Amazing Grace has filled churches, concerts, even commercials. Amazing Grace. It's celebrates 250 years. This song has been around. Let me just read this article. If you're watching the live stream, you can check it out. But it says, James Walvin, a former Church of England choir boy and professor of history at the University of York, doesn't remember encountering Amazing Grace in song or in his hymnal. It wasn't until he traveled to the United States to research the history of slavery that he came upon the hymn introduced by John Newton, a former slave trader, in 1773. Since then, Walvin, the author of the new book, Amazing Grace, A Cultural History of the Beloved Hymn, has submerged himself in the hymn, which turns 250 this year and has become a staple of Sunday services that has been adapted and adopted by preachers, performers, and presidents. I wasn't too keen on Elvis's version, Walvin said after a recent visit to the Library of Congress Amazing Grace collection, which includes more than 3,000 recordings of the song. The only one of Newton's hundreds of hymns that gained such international stature. I certainly was not keen on Matanovi's version, he added. I was amazed to listen to Janis Joplin's version. I mean, who'd think of Janis Joplin in Amazing Grace? But just continues to go on. Walvin, 81, a longtime non-Christian who describes himself as steeped in Christian morality, spoke to Religion News Service about the hymn, its composer, and the electrifying event, which when President Barack Obama drew on its power. Why has Amazing Grace endured for 250 years? And that is the big question. You know, why, of all the songs that have been recorded, that people have done, why this one? Let me just read this and I'll give you my final thoughts today. It says, Amazing Grace survived particularly in the United States and especially in African-American communities because its word speaks to a human condition of suffering and people coming out of suffering. And its music has a kind of haunting refrain that soothes. It has a unique combination of important phraseology, words, verses, and beguiling music. But, what say you guys? I mean, who does not love the song Amazing Grace? And in my time of Christianity, becoming a follower of Jesus in the fall of 1996, downtown Minneapolis, Minnesota. But anyway, I love that. I love that song. It's amazing that, there's some songs that I've sang since I've been a Christian. They're like, okay, that was cool for that time, but it sounds corny, sounds cheesy. That one can die, essentially. Let's move on from that one. But Amazing Grace, how powerful it is. And I think it's really just because of the power of the truth of Scripture in terms of the power of that song. I had it pulled up a second ago when I was searching through this in the Bible regarding grace. I was just looking up scriptures regarding grace. And I'll pull it up here, guys, if you guys are watching the live stream as well. But it says, God saved you, Ephesians 2, 8 and 9. It says, God saved you by his grace when you believed, and you can't take credit for this. It is a gift from God. Salvation is not a reward for the good things we have done, so none of us can boast about it. And that is the message of the song, Amazing Grace. And I think that is why it is so powerful, why it resonates so deeply with all of us who have found Jesus in our lives, because we realize just how hopeless, lost, and how much we needed Jesus. And when we encountered his grace, it changed everything. And so I'm so grateful that the grace of Jesus met me when I first became a follower of Jesus. But you know what is awesome about Amazing Grace? It's still today. And the Bible would even say this. It says his grace and his mercy is new every morning. So thank God for Amazing Grace. Let's listen to it on the way out. How sweet. Just sing it today, guys. That saved 250 years old. Amazing Grace.
Was blind, but now I see.
Thanks for listening, guys. Talk to you next time.